Welcome to Decentral Lens, where lifelong friends Blutoshi and Disco navigate the ever-evolving crypto landscape. With genuine curiosity and a commitment to nuance as our North Star, we offer clear-eyed exploration. Our goal? To empower listeners with the tools and insights needed to flourish in this decentralized age.
What's up, everybody? It is me, Blutoshi. Oh, the music stopped. I got to keep the music going. I'll get it going in a second. It's Blutoshi and Disco. And we got a new set. What do you think, Disco? Do you like it? Do you like it?
Oh, I'm trying to decipher like the background with the city. Like that's always, I think it's phenomenal. I'm focusing big on the Bitcoin planet vibe. Like I really dig it. And then I kind of think that Disco could surprise some people with his dance moves on that floor behind you, because it's kind of got a little, Michael Jackson-y Beat It vibe. I dig it for sure. Very disco-y.
Didn't even think of Michael Jackson there.
Yeah, with the light up floor. Remember, I think it was that was a Billie Jean video, which was quite good.
Yeah, so the whole goal of the studio is obviously to make it more fun, professional looking. Disco and I are not in the same place, but we wanted to look as cool and studio-esque as possible. I don't know if I was going for disco floor, but then again, like that is your name and music is kind of the core of your being. If you will notice behind Disco's, what perceives to be his left shoulder is two video games that I had the designer make, and it says number go up. It's kind of an Acme font, but I was a little proud of that one. So anyway, welcome to the new studio. Welcome to the new format too. We're going to do a 30-minute show and just give the top bullet points in all things crypto, maybe a little AI, macro trends, runes, ordinals, some NFTs, a little Solana degen. But that's the format, and we're sticking to it. And we're excited. We're excited to do this new look, new show, and new everything. So, Disco, where do we start?
It's a new, somewhat fun challenge to embrace, to kind of distill everything that went down in the last week. But I think, one of the biggest stories we got to talk about is a gentleman was released and is now free and has ties to Bitcoin, has ties to freedom, and it's inspiring to see some of this stuff come to life. And it was just a really big story. So if you want to
so Julian Assange is now free. He spent the last 16 years, I think, not being in Australia, his home country where he wanted to be. WikiLeaks started in the early 2000s, I believe. But the big thing that, from a fringe media agency to going front and center was posting some atrocities on the Iraq-Afghanistan war. And then quickly he became an enemy of the U.S. government and of the state. And, they're trying to charge him on 34 different things, but eventually, he spent the last 5 years in a UK jail, and eventually he pleaded guilty to one count, which many people, which had to do with espionage, which a lot of people say is kind of the clampdown on freedom of the press. So they're saying you served your time, that time served in the UK counted, and you can go home. But the bigger story from the crypto standpoint is from the freedom to express yourself and the freedom to transact. Now, obviously, government state secrets that put people or agents or military at risk, we don't want that. But, also, where's that line of reporters being allowed to report, atrocities that heaven forbid, maybe that our own country are doing? So a lot of people perceive him as a hero. I think he's a very interesting character, but Bitcoin is what allowed WikiLeaks to keep kind of reporting and not be censored after its website got shut down on like 4 different DNS systems, the final one, I believe, being Amazon. And then he was able to keep it going with more decentralized DNSs and to fund it, more importantly, through Bitcoin.
Yeah. And it's just such a nice kind of bow to the story that they raised, or they had a page out to raise funds to cover the private jet cost, and a single whale came in and donated 8 Bitcoin, which covered the lion's share of the cost to be able to bring the plane to Australia. So it's kind of cool to see the community come back and give him that, and it's nice to see a whale kind of step in and kind of fix that situation. It kind of goes to show, we're kind of on this kind of refocus on the decentralization and the importance of it. And it really is interesting to see, kind of it manifest from a community perspective, where it's like, hey, who's going to cover this, 500,000 or so US dollar commitment for the plane? And then, they put it up, and, one whale came in and popped up a little over 8 Bitcoin. So that was just a really cool way to kind of see that all come together.
100%. Yeah. And I think another 300,000 was raised in fiat currency, but the fact that one whale came in with 500 grand, and it begs the question, why was a private jet to get from the UK to Australia 500 grand? Like something, that seems awfully odd to me. It feels like that he did not get, he got rate card rates. He did not get the wholesale.
Yeah, he got
that seems bizarre.
He got like Uber surge pricing, like it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So, again, Julian Assange's story is also the story of Bitcoin, and the fact that guy got the Bitcoin to him frictionless and so quickly. This all happened in the last couple of days. It's a terrific story, and I know Julian Assange has had heart conditions, and he's been really ill, but he's got 2 small children, and a wife, and the kids. The mom, I think, obviously probably smart, being very trepidatious, was like, I have a surprise for you. She didn't even tell him what it was, because who knows what can happen before he even gets from the UK. He had to make 2 pit stops on the way to Australia, because it's so damn far from pretty much everywhere. But hopefully that's a good reunion, and for exposing some of the things that go on that some people should know about. Thank you. He in many ways is a hero, and it's cool to see that Bitcoin and his story are tied so closely together.
Hear, hear. Speaking of Bitcoin, there was some, if you look over the past week or so, there was some kind of like doomer sort of theories going around, like, they're going to open up the Mt. Gox, and that's going to really, crush. And I think people overreacted, as we have kind of the 7-day window to sit and see where things settled. So you saw that. You also saw, not necessarily FUD, but you saw, Germany's going to unload a ton of their Bitcoin that they got from like, a case that they got it from or whatever. And I guess my net is, settle down, everybody. All the things that we've talked about for all these weeks, like nothing stopped there, and be disciplined and buy the dips if you have the ability to, because lo and behold, we're sitting right back up to, north of 61 something. Everything's fine. Everybody still loves to jump onto it's going to zero. Use that as an opportunity. It's totally annoying, but it's out there, and that's just kind of gets on the timeline. It gets under your skin, and, look at it in the course of the last 7 days, 30, all this. We're in a great shape from that perspective. The outflows actually stopped on the ETFs yesterday. They had a positive day. So everything's, kind of course correcting in the way that we've kind of been pontificating on for the last 8-9 months on this. So it's like, kind of tune it out. Don't get too upset on it. It's too easy to kind of fall down those rails. They're not necessary.
Yeah. And basically just to shed light on actually what happened and what all the fear and FUD was about. So Mt. Gox had, I got to share this. Check this out. So Mt. Gox had, you're going to freak out. Hold on. I should have had this more prepared, but look at this. So the lost customer Bitcoin on Mt. Gox was 940,000 Bitcoin. So the only amount was the recovered was the 141,000. I don't even know. So the hackers made off with the rest of it, or the actual founder or whoever, wherever it went, pure conjecture, but most of it was gone. But the recovered amount, 141,000, is $9 billion. And everyone's freaking out that that's going up on the market right at the same time when Germany has a bunch that's going on. So that 1-2 punch, I think, brought it down. It's funny. I'm not because it's summer and I'm more of a long, medium term investor anyway with Bitcoin just stacking sats. Disco and I were talking on Monday and I'm like, where's Bitcoin now? 63? Like I heard panic his voice. He's like, dude, check it out. It was at 59. It's already back up, like you said, Disco. But I think this is, it's a great time to stack sats and, don't panic at all. But, there is a lot of Bitcoin potentially coming on the market. A lot of these people, their cost basis was, at bankruptcy was at $451.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And now it's, it was 60 through 5 last week, 61, 62, whatever. The net gain is huge. So some people will sell. And remember the other parts of this story too, is the miners, a lot of them after the halving, remember ordinals and runes and like everything, the mempool was just stuffed with high fees. So, everyone's riding high in the hog before the halving. Well, then the rewards cut in half. What was it, from 800 to 400 Bitcoin a day? And then all of a sudden, think about all the people that have to unplug because they're not profitable anymore. So there's a big rebalancing. This has actually happened every halving. Usually it's 7 or 8 months after the halving is when you see all-time highs for the cycle. I suspect this one will come even after that because what you can't control is the new kind of demand as more corporations come in. Disco, we know now that Michael Dell, what is he?
Yeah.
I have to keep track of is he the 4th richest man in the world or is he 9th? Because it's so important to know where he ranks, how big his yacht is compared to everyone else's. But Michael Dell, he's talked about Bitcoin before, but there have been rumblings that he's talking about it again. And maybe, they're 4 times the size of MicroStrategy. And if they put that on their balance sheet now that accounting rules have relaxed and it's not seen as like a liability, that, if Dell goes, that's, it's not the biggest, it's not a FANG stock, but it's way up on the fiat public company food chain. So again, lots of reasons to be optimistic.
And it doesn't take much. I mean, Dell just posted scarcity creates value, and then he, reposted Michael Saylor, and it just sent, all these things. So it doesn't take much to kind of tip it one way or the other. And, we've been talking for a long time. We saw Wisconsin, we've seen, Japanese companies just all across the world. People are finding ways to, get involved and to be on board. So it's nice to see that kind of flip around. Interestingly enough, we're sitting here one day before a debate between just the two top political parties for the presidency in the United States. We could get into why maybe some other folks should be on stage and voices heard. But the one question that's out there within the crypto space is, will crypto actually get a question in the debate? And I know Stand with Crypto has solicited my support, and I'm going to really move the needle aggressively. But they're asking everybody to send emails to CNN. They have like a forum question that you can do just to send that out there. But I do think it'll be relatively interesting to see crypto potentially get its moment. I know that Stand with Crypto is actually offering like food vouchers to folks to host watch parties across the country. So it's really kind of a big thing, and it'll be very interesting to see how aggressive, they position themselves aligned with Bitcoin and I think they're calling them digital assets is kind of the term that they'll use for the question if it gets in.
Oh, so do we have any inkling if we think it will get in? Right now, we think it probably will not, correct?
I don't know. We could look at, I don't know if it's up on Polymarket or not, but I suspect it'll get in because it's, Stand with Crypto and the voice has been pretty loud. So it has been a fairly interesting maturation of the voice of, kind of the space overall. So I'd be surprised if it didn't get mentioned, and I'd be very interested to see how, both candidates would address it. We all know how RFK Jr. would, but he's not going to be in the mix to be able to present his take.
I honestly, I saw this story. I don't care if it gets mentioned or not, because I think Trump is probably at some point going to give a nod to the crypto community and maybe even make Biden address it. But I don't know. Both guys are old. Both, we're seeing these videos of both of them having kind of these odd moments where they're having these kind of lapses on stage or kind of rambling in different directions. And the only reason I bring that up is because, they kept RFK out because he's not in enough states. He didn't have enough ballots. So it's just the two of them. But I wonder if they're almost agreeing for each other to keep it. If there's no audience, which means theoretically, could it even get edited for little blunders? I don't know. I guess if it's live, probably not. But it just seems odd to me that it feels about as undemocratic as you could get. No live audience. You're not allowing even a third candidate in. But I suspect, going back to crypto, I think it will get mentioned somehow. If the question is on there or not, I guess to me it's irrelevant. I just don't care.
Yeah, just a couple follows to that really quick is I don't know if it's official yet, but they're saying that Trump is in conversations to speak at Bitcoin Nashville. And there's been significant rumors in the last 48 or so hours that Trump is leaning towards or already has offered Vivek the vice president position on the ticket. So that's obviously an embracement of, kind of the space overall from his perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that's really interesting, if we're on that topic, Polymarket is always saying, Trump's 60% chance to win, Biden 34%. To me, it's like if you put greed and money in, you're going to have more accurate results than exit polls. But all the polls are saying that it's pretty much 50-50 right now. And I'm sorry, not exit polls, but just all the, however they're getting the information. But, with cell phones now and, even old people don't answer their landlines anymore if they even have them anymore. So to get this information is probably pretty tough. I know I get texts every day saying, are you still with us? 700% match on this or that. But what's interesting is just the difference between what Polymarket is saying and what the polls are saying. And I don't know. I maybe this is naive. I feel like right now I'm think Polymarket's probably more right. And maybe this is biased because it's more crypto people and they want Trump to win because he's more pro crypto. But I don't know, the 50-50, that's such a 60-34, which is what Polymarket's predicting Trump over Joe Biden, to 50-50 right now, a split. Something's not adding up here. And again, is that just what they're telling us? It's a close race, it's 50-50, and it's just based on nothing,
Yeah, no. And that's, that leads to, a lot of what we've been thinking about over the past, months. And, where are the biases in terms of what you're consuming and then, making your actions off of. So I think it's really important to kind of look at that. And you're right, in terms of, those 50-50s potentially, 50-50 landline, right? Because who's going to pick up and go through that if they're not, of a certain generation, shall I say.
And while I'm still on Polymarket, what was the one question you wanted me to look up just to see if it's even on here?
Actually, it's right there, the Republican VP, and the nominee, it looks like they're saying
Vivek 13, other man 44. So you're saying Vivek, the rumors are getting stronger and stronger and hotter and hotter. You would think this would be, he would fly up if there were more insider things, but this will be interesting because right now, other man is
I'm a big other man guy.
Oh, it's funny. I was going to say, what if it was a woman? Does that count? And I'm like, oh, nope, there's other woman down at the bottom. So again, this will be interesting. Trump's the pro crypto candidate, but we know the Democratic Party is trying to do an about face. But they also just brought this woman whose last name is House back into the White House, who is kind of a part of, I don't know if it was Crypto Choke Point 2.0, but she was a part of the administration a year ago when they were making all sorts of crazy executive orders and lockdowns, and now she's coming back. So to me, it feels like, again, they're saying one thing to get votes, the Democratic Party, but they're not really backing it with actions and moves. The second they feel like they have the upper hand, they're it feels like Gensler's like, nope, like people aren't, crypto's too centralized. And maybe it is. And a lot of these shit coins, a lot of these meme coins are kind of a cesspool, but until he has rules and regulations, or the Congress does, like, we're just in this mired kind of mess.
What was it yesterday? Gensler's like, I don't comment on politics. It's like, dude, everything you're doing is political. Like, let's be honest about that. So you can't have it all. You can't have it both ways. Really quick, there's still, because it's coming up next weekish. The ETF guys are still going with the over under on July 2nd for the ETH ETFs to be able to be traded and for that to get fully approved. So that's something to keep an eye on as well.
Well, and Gensler did say, he said it was this summer. He said things are going smooth. So again, he's obviously getting marching orders from the executive office or whoever his handlers are to be way more transparent. Maybe Larry Fink saying again, like, the schoolyard bully with all the money, like, hey kid, eat my lunch, I'll take your lunch. So at least we're getting more information there. I'm in the camp that the price of ETH, I think it's kind of already priced in. I just think I see a lot of posts on X right now of, like, from DC Investor and from a lot of these kind of diehard ETH collectors. And, I feel like everybody in a bear doubles down. That's why I don't post as much, because I'm like, if I'm not sure about something, I'm not gonna like be like, my bags, or the answer is my bags. And I feel like now that you and I are way heavier Bitcoin or way heavier ordinals, still love Ethereum and stuff, but a lot of the movement has gone there and to the Solana meme coins. I mean, Solana is still going down, but more people are going to Solana than Ethereum to trade because it's cheaper, it's less friction, and transactions are cheaper. And right now, I guess Ethereum transactions are as cheap as they've been in years, which it was like, I swear I saw 3 Gwei this morning, which is insanely cheap. And as a validator, that's not music to my ears. But again, it shows a busy blockchain is a healthy blockchain. And my thing to DC Investor and all these folks who are heavy Ethereum art collectors or heavy Ethereans is like, it's going to come back. It's going to come back. And my point to them is always, you're missing 2 super important points. Is a lot of us in the art community see Bitcoin on-chain art as a way more long-term store of value for art and collectibles because it is truly on chain. I mean, that by far is the number one. And Ethereum just doesn't get used as much, and IPFS and Arweave and all the off-site stuff just isn't as good. So the attention, I think Ethereans think they're in a bear, and they are, but they're in a double problem. It's a bear mixed with their audience got split in thirds, or really more than that, over to ordinals and Solana. So when they do come back to their bull, the number of people, unless new entrants come in, simply aren't going to be there. And if, to us, obviously Azuki at 3 ETH or whatever seems like super cheap fire sale, and they're thinking, how could it go anywhere but up? My thing is like, because a lot of us probably aren't ever going to come back and buy something for 3 ETH or $12,000 or $13,000 that's not on chain.
I think that's an accurate, I don't know if I'll use the word right, accurate construct, because I think that you had a lot of the activity before on Ethereum centered around collecting NFTs, right? And I think that a lot of the collectors have kind of understood or taken the pill to be like, okay, there is a difference with the permanency and on-chain provenance and everything from that perspective. And now I think that you're almost waiting for the new flood of people to be, engaging with Ethereum. And my guess is that those are going to be much more corporate folks. It's going to be much more the finance side of it. So I don't think it's going to be the same, they'll be coming back. It doesn't matter if they come back, frankly. There's going to be other uses, and that'll kind of be what'll be the primary activity there. So I think trying to hold on to like, oh wait, we'll get them back, I don't know. I think that ship may have sailed, because I think once you have the security of collecting on Bitcoin, and you just have all that, you feel kind of differently than you did, and you've kind of progressed. And I think we're probably just seeing a progression with collectors, and a lot of people are trying to hold on to old models and old cycles, and I think we're just looking at a completely different cycle now. So that's not extremely relevant.
Yeah, your argument of the tokenization for Ethereum, to me, is the strongest one, because obviously it's a much more solid decentralized chain than Solana. So if you're going to have big corporate and global financial assets tokenized, it's either going to be on Bitcoin, where the infrastructure is not quite there yet, or on Ethereum, where the infrastructure is there. But you've got EVM issues, and you've got like front running and all that stuff, which actually is happening on Bitcoin too. So they're not out of the woods there. But the tokenization argument for Ethereum, I think, is still by far the best one.
Yeah. I wanted to just touch on something really quickly. Ooh. So I was using a coin tracker, app, and it got hacked this weekend. And luckily, this is more of a public service announcement for everybody. Just remember the core principles that, we've always heard all the way throughout. And thankfully, I didn't ever engage and connect a wallet directly to it. I'm very happy I didn't. I just kind of had that gut feeling like, you get prompted like, hey, connect this, you can do all these things. I'm like, no, dude, we got to keep it. We got to keep as many, little speed bumps in place as possible. So, there was that happened. Now these celebrities like 50 Cent and Metallica both got hacked, and then they kind of pushed out meme coins, whoever did it, for a quick hit. So just be super aware out there. I'm now in a situation where I'm trying to get some stuff off of a centralized exchange, and it's not easy. So it's supposed to be, hey, you can grab it. And for whatever reason, I'm having to go through a bunch of extra steps that make no sense. And once you really are, kind of dyed in wool and believe in the principles of not your keys, not your crypto, and everything like that, it really is just, kind of a gut punch when you're not able to make something happen, and it goes into XYZ stall period or XYZ investigation. And you're like, it does still make you feel like you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing, even though you're above board and doing everything right. So don't take the extra steps to kind of keep the distance. Don't just get lazy and be like, hey, it's all fixed, because we're starting to see, some of this as it gets more and more out there. There are going to be opportunists, people coming back into that, trying to do that. So be vigilant, be smart, stick to the fundamental, kind of core things we've all been taught, because they were taught for a reason. And I would get off exchanges as much as I could if I were you.
Yeah, I mean, not your keys, not your crypto. Do you mind me mentioning, because I have a little add on to your story, do you mind me mentioning the exchange that it is, or would you prefer me not to?
No, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so it sounds like Gemini is giving problems. I have self-custodied a Roth 401k and have been become my own trustee for it. It's too boring to even go into, but it allows me to grow crypto tax-free. It's post-tax dollars, but allows it to grow tax-free. And on the forums I'm on, they wrote a 240-page thing to allow me to have the freedom to invest my own crypto into retirement accounts. And the group, the people who own this forums, are heavily I almost feel like they're paid by Gemini, and they're always like, no, Gemini's the best. You can only go with Gemini. Don't go with Kraken. Don't go with Coinbase. Go with Gemini. And I'm thinking why did they keep saying that? And so many people on there are I go in, nobody's responding. There's no help, and my money is stuck. And I've seen that 5 or 6 times over the last 3 weeks since I've been wrapping my head around this. And I'm like, oh, get note to self, don't ever get money there. So good luck getting it out. And, again, not your keys, not your crypto. Disco and I are going to take next week off, everybody, just so you know. We're going to do these half-hour shows, and then we're going to do more interviews. We just did a great interview with one of my favorite people in the space and fellow Ordinal Punk owner, Dr. G, who's been in AI for a decade, and we just had an awesome show with him that we're going to release next week, during the holidays, so we can take a break. But definitely listen to that, because it's very eye-opening. A lot of the parallels of crypto follow AI and privacy and decentralization, and freedom to transact can equate, Disco, I would say, to freedom of getting the right information too.
Yeah, that's what it is. Critical thinking and being able to kind of make sure you protect yourself is more important than ever. So appreciate everybody tuning in. We're going to stick to the shorter format. This show is always for entertainment purposes, not to be construed as financial advice. Be safe out there and do your best.
Yep. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.